Picture this. It's April 13th, 2013. An elite FBI strike team is storming a suburban house in Nebraska. Inside, a man is frantically trying to slam his laptop shut, but it's way too late. Now, the guy they're after, he's no drug lord or mob boss. He is the acting cybersecurity chief for a U.S. federal agency. And the FBI just caught him red-handed on a child abuse forum. The wild part? They didn't trace him. They hacked him. So that raises a huge question, right? How on earth did America's top law enforcement agency end up using the exact same tactics as the criminals they were supposed to be hunting? Well, we're about to break down the incredible story of the FBI's secret hacker army and the operations that completely rewrote the rules of digital policing.
Okay, so this whole story really breaks down into 3 critical operations. Each one was a massive step up from the last, pushing the legal and technical boundaries further and further. Let's dive in.
So before we even get into the hacking, you've got to understand the massive wall the FBI was up against. And that wall was called the Tor network. Tor was this classic double-edged sword. Sure, it was great for protecting activists and journalists, but it also built a digital fortress for criminals, making them almost impossible to find. And this is where the frustration really boiled over for the FBI. Sites like Torpedo were operating completely out in the open, yet totally untouchable. We're talking thousands of users hiding behind all these layers of anonymity, and law enforcement was basically powerless. They were hunting ghosts. And then, in 2012, they finally got a break. But it wasn't because of some brilliant piece of code breaking. It was, well, sheer luck. The Dutch police found that the guy running Torpedo, a man named Aaron McGrath, had made a massive rookie mistake. His administrator login had no password.
But what the FBI did next, that was the real game changer. Instead of just swooping in and making an arrest, they made this incredibly bold, totally unprecedented decision. They secretly took control of the servers, kept the illegal site running, and decided to turn it into a giant trap, to hack every single person who logged on.
So what was their weapon of choice? It was a piece of custom-built malware. They gave a very bureaucratic name, a Network Investigative Technique, or NITE. The best way to think about it is like a digital tracer round. The FBI was basically firing this thing into the darkness of Tor, hoping it would stick to a target and light up their real location.
So how did it actually work? Well, they used a classic hacker's trick called a drive-by download. A user visits the site, which they don't know is now run by the FBI, and the malware, the NIT, silently downloads onto their computer. It then finds a weak spot in their browser, punches a tiny little hole through Tor's armor, and sends their real IP address straight back to an FBI server. And the craziest part? The user would have absolutely no idea what just happened.
And wow, did it work. In just the first 2 weeks of running the site, agents were literally watching dots light up on a map, each one a target being unmasked. They identified at least 25 users in the United States alone, plus a bunch more all across Europe and South America.
And this is where we come full circle, because one of those dots on the map led them straight to Timothy DeFaggi, the very guy whose job it was to protect a federal agency from cyber threats. The operation was a complete, shocking success, and it proved their new weapon was for real.
Now that the FBI had a taste of success, they decided to go bigger, way, way bigger. Their next target was a company called Freedom Hosting, a huge anonymous web host that, at the time, was reportedly powering about half of all the hidden sites on the entire Tor network.
But here's the thing. This operation was a whole different ballgame. This time, they didn't just target one criminal website. No, they took over the entire hosting company and basically cast this massive digital dragnet, deploying their malware across thousands of websites, totally indiscriminately. That meant if you visited any of those sites, whether it was a criminal forum or a secure email service used by journalists, you got hacked.
And this right here is where things get really complicated. On one side, yes, the FBI unmasked more dangerous criminals. But on the other, they blew a hole in the privacy of countless innocent people, the very people Tor was built to protect. We're talking journalists, political dissidents, activists, all caught in the same net.
So it really forces you to ask this fundamental question, one that the ACLU and privacy groups started asking very loudly. Where do you draw the line? I mean, is it okay to hack 100 innocent people just to catch 10 guilty ones? The FBI was now operating in a very murky legal gray area.
You'd think maybe they'd pump the brakes after that, right? Nope. In 2015, the FBI launched what would become its most ambitious hacking operation ever, Operation Pacifier. The target was a site called Playpen,
one of the biggest child abuse sites anyone had ever seen, with more than 150,000 registered users.
I mean, the sheer scale and, frankly, the legal audacity of this thing were just mind-blowing. Once again, the FBI seized the server and ran the illegal site themselves. But this time, they did it with a single warrant from a single magistrate judge in Virginia, and they used that one piece of paper to authorize a global hacking operation against thousands of computers all around the world.
The results were just staggering. Remember the first operation where they identified about 25 people? Well, in Operation Pacifier, the NIT successfully unmasked over 1,000 users. It was, without a doubt, the single biggest government hacking operation in U.S. history.
You can probably guess what happened next, right? A massive legal firestorm. Defense lawyers were just floored. They asked, how can a warrant from one judge in Virginia possibly give the FBI the authority to search a computer in another state, or another country like Australia or Chile?
And what followed was, honestly, total legal chaos. Some judges agreed, saying the warrant was a massive overreach, and they threw out the evidence. But other judges allowed it, arguing that the crimes were so horrible the extreme measures were justified. The FBI's biggest success was now in real danger of completely falling apart in court.
So the FBI is in a real bind here. How do you solve a legal problem like this? Well, their solution wasn't just to win a court case. They decided to change the rules of the whole game.
This is wild. In late 2016, pretty quietly, without a lot of public debate, the law itself was changed. An update to what's called Rule 41 now explicitly gives judges the power to issue a warrant to hack computers anywhere in the world, so long as the computer's location is being hidden by something like Tor.
And this quote just nails the transformation. What started out as this risky, experimental, ad hoc trick in Operation Torpedo had now become a standardized, legally approved part of the FBI's official playbook.
So legally, the case is closed. But out here, in the real world, the debate is hotter than ever. Public opinion is just completely split. For victim advocates, these tools are an absolute godsend. For privacy groups, they're a terrifyingly dangerous precedent. And for law enforcement, it's all just a necessary evil for policing in the 21st century.
So what started as a risky experiment became an official, legally sanctioned part of the FBI's arsenal. The hunters officially became the hackers, and they got the law changed to back them up. So the only real question left is, where do they point this weapon next?